Let's bring in Geri Rinschler. Did I get your Geri? Did I get your name right?
Perfect, Ronnie. Yeah, just call me Geri.
Geri, she is the VP of the Community Engagement and Marketing for the League of Women Voters and a board member of the Women Officials Network Foundation. You focus on the Oakland County area. We are so pleased to have you again on the Oakland County MegaCast because so much to talk about. Where do you want to start?
Well, let me give you a little update. So I'll start with the League of Women Voters because this is really a pretty crunch time for us. So we start looking at events and timelines in August. And I'm going to guess most of your listeners and viewers have seen a printed voter guide. It's printed twice a year. Oakland County's always done our own. The League of Women Voters Michigan does a version also. So they pretty much will give you information about the national election. Ours is basically Oakland County except for Troy. Troy has a league, but we always, our information is all together. So we've been working on that. And let me tell you a little bit about that because I know our supporters far and wide are always asking right around Election Day, where can I find one of these? It's so much more helpful to look at it in a newspaper style. So because of a little deadline glitches in a couple different areas, and we had to wait for the county to make sure we had the accurate information before we could go to press. So they have been printed. They're going to be distributed. We're really excited. And they will be pretty much found in clerks' offices. I believe most of them are now open, and libraries. And I know every library has a different way of access to the public. So you might want to check that out. But maybe the easiest way for those folks who are on the internet is to go to the website vote411.org. And it's quite user-friendly. So you'll go to that website, you'll get a prompt to put in your address. When you put in your address, you can access a line item for everyone you will be voting for. And what we have done for our league for more than 50 years is sending out questions to each candidate and asking those to be returned to us by a certain date. So they're asked by a different committee for different offices. They work together to come up with appropriate questions, certainly non-partisan questions. For whatever reason, some candidates choose not to respond or just pass the deadline. And so we get questions, well, what happened to, candidate number 3 for a school board and why are they not included? It's 99.9% of the time because they didn't respond in a timely fashion. So there's also information in there as well. I'm going to jump to another fun topic that we've been working on. Our League of Women Voters Oakland area now has our own website, YouTube channel. And what we started doing about 2 months ago is doing recordings of pertinent information of how to vote for the primary, how to vote for the absentee. And most recently, one of our members' husbands has done those for us in Spanish. So they're available in English and Spanish both. So that's been kind of fun. As you know, with COVID, everything is on Zoom or board meetings. We haven't met in person since maybe February, but it seems to be working. So part 3 are those live candidate interviews. And in the past, I'm sure, Ronnie, you've probably attended some where our league members will preside over a panel and invite all candidates running for a particular office. And the attendees will send questions to the front to be asked. So doing it on Zoom's been a little more complicated because we've had some candidates who choose not to participate for whatever reason. And in many cases where we've had a long list of candidates, it became a little problematic. So for some races, when you click on those, and that you can access them through vote41.org, you'll notice that it's a little different format. It's more of a interview process with some questions. And so we've got a number of folks. We have an entire committee that work, Deb Horner, Jerry Burton, Judy Bateman, work simultaneously with Sue Liebertrue, and I could go on and on. It really takes a village to get this done, and we are a volunteer organization and a nonprofit. So that's pretty much where we've been. Today we're going to have another meeting because our community engagement wants to try and do one more informational piece on YouTube to help those voters, especially first-time voters, doing absentee. So did I give you enough information, Ronnie? Oh, I can't hear.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Couldn't hear you for a second.
Sorry about that.
No. So that's what's been keeping us busy. We're always trying to make sure our voters get this all in a timely fashion. So we had a little heartburn for a while trying to get everything to the printer. So we're just excited that it's occurring, and they will, I don't know if I gave you the date, but they're to be delivered on October 5th or 6th. So somewhere in that window. But if anyone is planning to vote now, as I understand ballots are being mailed out to those who applied to get an absentee ballot, you can always go to that vote411.org and get everything you need to know.
Geri Rinschler with us. She is the Vice President of Community Engagement and Marketing for the League of Women Voters Oakland area, also a board member of the Women Officials Network Foundation, joining us today on the Oakland County MegaCast as we talk about elections, a primary function of the West Bloomfield Township Clerk's Office, our Facebook partner on today's edition of the program. And Geri, one of the great benefits of the information, the nonpartisan information that is provided to the voting public by the League of Women Voters are their candidate forums, which there's already been several of them done for the general election in November. Actually, we just started airing the Sylvan Lake City Council candidate forum last week and over the weekend. It's on it's posted on our website on civiccentertv.com for those in the prettiest little city in Michigan who are wondering about their candidates for office. Many more are planned. They're scheduled, and that's all on your website, lwvoa.org. But there's still a lot of other open positions that are contested that have not yet been scheduled or marked scheduled for candidate forums. As we are approaching the November election, we're a couple of months out at this point, a month out or so at this point. Are there any plans for further candidate forums?
Yes, and those are on our website. The difficulty with having 63 municipalities in our county, we don't have enough people to go out who are experienced enough and knowledgeable in, or a member of the League of Women Voters to conduct those interviews. So one of the things we've talked about in some races, if you go back to the primary, we're leaving some of those interviews up in a couple, and I can't tell you which communities. And one of them may be the county executive forum, the Zoom forum. So we can't get everywhere, sorry to say, we would like to, but we certainly do have printed information, I'll call it printed, in our voter guides. And we do send a questionnaire via US mail as well as email. And if we don't get a response from a candidate about participating and we have a phone call, we will even call them up and say, we're so hoping you will participate. In some situations, we have found it's not widespread, but we've had occasions where none of the candidates wanted to participate. And you might see some statements from one candidate. So if one candidate from Party A decides they do not want to participate, we now will allow the candidate from Party B or C to make a statement, and we record those. So we're trying. Our membership is increasing, and we're really excited. And we're getting many more folks engaged and wanting to help. So we'll see in 2 years from now, maybe we will be able to get everywhere, but it's kind of multi-layered, which determines how these come to be. So keep an eye. And the other thing I wanted to mention, and I'm not sure if anyone's confused, but about 2 weeks ago, we put up a new website. It's much more informative. And so what we've been telling members and trying to spread to the public is if you go to leagueofwomenvoters.org/Michigan/Oakland area, it will come up. And you can also access it through the League of Women Voters Michigan website. So those are connected. But as far as this election, 411.org is so simple, and there's everything you need to know. If you don't mind, I'd like to thank all the clerks. I don't think the public realizes how difficult this is with COVID, first of all. I think we're really lucky in Michigan that we had a primary when we did, so it was kind of like a practice to go out and see how things are working. It is just, I know they're working overtime, but I think having that primaries really helped us, so it'll be a lot more efficient. But we did hear very positive things. A number of our board members do go volunteer in communities outside of their own, and the feedback from them was everything went really well during the primary. So, and counting in Oakland County was completed on the absentee voter list by 7 o'clock. So that's pretty impressive too.
Yeah, they really are working around the clock, trying to make sure that everyone has the information that they need to be able to vote and make sure that they vote correctly, because in this last primary, there were more than 10,000 votes that, for whatever reason, many people just don't fill out the form correctly, or this, that, and the other. They are our area clerks working around the clock to try to make sure that everyone is informed on how to vote and do that properly. Geri, you've been doing this for quite some time. You're passionate about voting, and what I love about your organization, the League of Women Voters, you are nonpartisan. This is going to be a crazy election. What
It is.
is your thought? I know that in Lansing, they are trying to get some movement on changing some of the rules and regulations around absentee ballot voting, because we can't have some of these people sequestered for up to a week while they're trying to count some of these mail-in ballots and other things of that nature. What's your thought on that? And are you encouraged about some of the bipartisan work that's being done in Lansing to get some changes done in this area?
Yeah, I certainly am. And I'll just slip in as a former school board trustee in Birmingham. I was really pleased, more than pleased, to see the bipartisan cooperation on the budget. And, by law, I'm changing subjects on you, but
That's okay.
I'm very passionate about public education. So by law, school boards have to have an approved budget voted on before by July 1. And to be, especially with COVID, to be left in limbo all these months has been so difficult for school board trustees. My heart goes out to all of them and the superintendents. I know with COVID, this is not anything they thought about none of us ever dreamed would happen. So I am very grateful to all of those elected officials. But yes, we also have an advocacy committee that was formed in January for the League of Women Voters. So they've been giving us information about some of the bills we have been very supportive of and trying to support the clerks as well. And that one which was just, I believe it's been approved, so that the clerks can at least remove that outer envelope 10 hours before, so that they can start counting absentee ballots in a more efficient way. So yeah, I am encouraged. I early in the summer, when I heard all sorts of criticism about absentee voting, I thought that was very confusing to the average voter, and even more confusing to the person who's never voted before and never voted in an absentee election, by ballot before. And which is why we started our YouTube channel and putting information there, because I think if you were to ask my entire League of Women Voters board, we feel very confident that this is a secure election. I'm sure if you asked any clerk in Oakland County, they would tell you that. So I've been reassuring folks, because I get questions all the time saying, well, I'm not so sure that this is, my ballot's really going to get counted. And I've noticed lately the clerks are all putting on their websites, and if you subscribe to your local municipality, they have been sending out details about the process, how, with the deadlines. The Secretary of State has put together a very detailed, informative website. And that's another place to go to get more information. I will go back to talk about the primary a little, because we were at first under the impression that all the municipalities were going to receive additional ballot boxes that would be installed in front of their municipal building. And as we got close to the primary, we realized there were some municipalities who never received them. And I know Ferndale and maybe one other were doing drive-through weekends where the clerk and their deputized assistants were in front of the municipality and collecting in person. those either applications for registration or if they were dropping off a ballot. So these boxes are very secure. They're cemented down. I mean, it's not something someone's going to take and abscond with. In Birmingham, ours happens to be right near the entrance to the police department. So we've got policemen coming and going, 24/7. But so hopefully folks won't worry so much about that. And if you've interviewed a clerk lately, they can explain to you how the absentee ballots are, barcoded and checked and double checked. But Ronnie, I'm going to just go back for a minute to a comment you made.
Geri, we only have just another minute or two with you. So what can you give us your finishing thought there?
Yeah, I'll leave you with a message to just ask everyone listening to be careful, really take your time if you're voting absentee, and make sure you have checked the appropriate boxes and you did sign the envelope. Because I know in Bloomfield Township, Clerk Jan Roncelli said they had to call 400 of their voters and ask, did you want a primary election ballot or, in November, or do you want both? So I've taken up a whole bunch of your time talking about the league, and I didn't get to talk to you about the Women Officials Network Foundation.
We'll have you on again pretty soon. That's the great thing about the Oakland County MegaCast. We're always looking for exciting guests to share a lot of information. And so as we get closer to the election, we'll be sure to have you on again, Geri. Thank you so much for your time. Geri with the League of Women Voters, a great nonprofit organization and nonpartisan organization working to give us information to make sure that we all get out and have our voices heard this upcoming election.